It's Ash from Super Videos back for another video for Season 8 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to be talking about some major spoilers that were leaked for Season 8 of The Walking Dead, closer to the mid-season finale, Season 8, Episode 8. Now, if you are a fan of the channel, you know that I don't do spoiler videos. And I definitely did not want this to be spoiled for me, but it was. And, I definitely didn't want to do a video about it, but here I am talking about it. Now, this was pretty much spoiled for me because I got bombarded with questions and messages about this, and people were telling me about this major death that was coming and about this major spoiler. So this was basically spoiled for me, whether I wanted it or not. And some people even framed this spoiler as a prediction. And that's exactly how this was spoiled for me. And obviously now it's all over because I got multiple messages telling me about this major death. Now, for those of you who don't want this to be spoiled for you, leave right now because I'm going to basically talk a little bit about it and I don't want it to be spoiled for anybody else. If this was not already spoiled for you, then just leave because I don't want this to be spoiled for you. So this is basically a major spoiler warning for you guys. Now, I was very happy because nothing was spoiled for me for Season 8 up to this point. And then bam, this morning, this major death was basically spoiled for me. Now, this is still not confirmed 100%, but, it's looking a lot like it's going to be accurate and that we will see this death in Season 8, close to the mid-season finale. So again, I'm going to put another spoiler warning here. If this was not spoiled for you, and if you don't want this to be spoiled for you, then leave. Because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. And, I just want to put this spoiler warning out here so that this video doesn't spoil things for anybody. Because, obviously, I didn't want things to be spoiled for me. So, I definitely don't want to spoil it for others as well. But that being said, I'm pretty sure this is going to be spoiled for people sooner or later. Because it's just all over the place and sooner or later, just like the Abe and Glenn death, it's going to basically be spoiled for the majority of people, especially those that do discussion videos for The Walking Dead. So the spoiler is that there's going to be a major death that's going to be coming in the mid-season finale. And this character death is going to be a character that's been there for a long time. And it's basically one of the main characters, maybe even as close to being a main character as Rick Grimes himself. Now, before I actually tell you guys about this spoiler, another spoiler warning here. Don't watch if you don't want this to be spoiled for you. So, the spoiler is that Carl Grimes will die in the mid-season finale. So, won't be seeing him any longer after Season 8. Now, this is not confirmed 100%, but there's a lot of little pieces here and there that are basically coming together and giving this spoiler or this rumor more substance. So this was basically spoiled for me because someone said they predict a major character is going to die. And they're like, I don't know who that might be, maybe Carl. So, obviously when you get comments like that, you pretty much know that it's a spoiler, that they predicted it based on a spoiler. And, I was right because there were some others coming and writing stuff, spoiling it for me. Obviously, I deleted those comments, and I definitely will delete others that I see as well, but it was too late for me because it's spoiled now. And I'm very disappointed because I didn't want this to be spoiled for me. I definitely wanted it to be fresh when it happens, but, I guess that won't be happening. So, let's talk about what this death could mean and why there's substance to this rumor. So going back to what happened in the premiere of Season 8, think about what Rick said. When we had Rick in very bad form, when he was crying, his eyes were red and everything, and he basically looked like he witnessed something tremendous and tragic, and it seemed like he went through a traumatic experience. And then what he said during that instance was, my mercy prevails over my wrath. And, he was very shaken as well. He had the same sort of face that he had in the premiere of Season 7, when he was on top of the RV, when we basically found out that Abe and Glenn were killed. So, we know something bad is going to happen. I didn't think that it would be Carl, to be honest. I thought it would be someone like Morgan, maybe even Daryl. The thought of Carl dying never crossed my mind. But that being said, it kind of makes sense because that's what Rick said. My mercy prevails over my wrath. Then if you go back and kind of listen to what this new character that was introduced was saying when he was talking to himself at the gas station, he said that exact phrase, my mercy prevails over my wrath. And he said that he heard her mother say that, and her mother basically read it from the Quran. Now, for comic readers, we know that that's most likely going to be Siddiq, but that's irrelevant to this discussion because what connects this to proof that Carl is gonna die is that Carl came back, brought this guy food, even though Rick was not trusting this guy. But we saw Carl come back, give him mercy, hence where the title of first episode comes from, and then basically saved him. Saved Siddiq. So he's giving him mercy. And then think about what Rick said, my mercy prevails over my wrath. So this is most likely going to be what connects this death to what's going to be happening at the end of the war. So another spoiler warning here. This is going to be a spoiler warning for the comic book, for comic material. So I'm going to be talking a little about comic material as well. Now, if you're already here, then you're most likely not going to care about comic spoilers anyway, but yeah, just another spoiler warning here for comic spoilers. But Carl gave Siddiq, this guy he never knew, mercy and saved him. And basically gave him food so he would survive. And now that Carl is most likely going to die, that's going to have a big impact on Rick. And it might actually push him towards thinking about giving Negan mercy as well. Now that is only going to happen if Negan doesn't kill Carl. If Negan kills Carl, this doesn't make sense. But if another savior kills Carl, then I could definitely see this pushing Rick to realize that he needs to give Negan mercy because of what happened to Carl. Because obviously Carl gave mercy to Siddiq, someone he never knew. And to honor his memory and legacy, he would let Negan go and keep him alive. So there's a bit of proof why Carl's death would kind of make sense and how it would move the story forward as well. Now, if they end up killing Carl, then I'm 99% sure they're not going to kill any other major character. Like Daryl, like Carol, like Morgan. They're not going to do that. Carl's death is so surprising and shocking if it happens that they just don't need to kill anybody else, in my opinion. So that's basically it for this spoiler. I definitely understand how it would move the story forward, and it kind of does fit in. But I'm disappointed that it was spoiled for me. I'm definitely pissed off that some people spoiled it for me. But what can you do? When you are a YouTuber like me, that's just a risk you should be willing to take. Because if you're going to be reading comments and looking at different videos here and there to do research and stuff, things like this will definitely be spoiled for you. But I'm definitely disappointed. I'm pissed off. But now I'm going to be talking a little bit about how this might change the story in terms of bringing the comic material to the TV show. If Carl is in fact going to die, then what's going to happen with his story arc? Because obviously he has this kind of significant story in the comics. It's not huge, but it's not small either. So they're going to definitely need to remix it so that Carl's death does not change the story. Chandler Riggs, who plays Carl, is going to college, so that most likely had a big influence on why they went this route and had Carl be killed. But that's irrelevant to the discussion here. If Carl dies, then the only way for them to remix the story and have this work out is for them to give Carl's story arc to Judith. So obviously we know Judith is a bit bigger now, so she's going to be growing up and she's most likely going to be given the story arc Carl had from the comics, so that she's going to fulfill that arc in the TV show. Now, if you think about it, that kind of makes sense as well, because obviously in the TV show, Carl is much older than he is in the comics at this point. So to make things work and to make everything fit together and for it not to feel out of character for Carl to do certain things and for them to be bringing comic material to life, it kind of does make sense for them to give Carl's storyline to Judith, who is Rick's child, even though it seems like she's definitely Shane's, but I'm pretty sure Rick thinks of her as her own child. So that put with Judith's age, it makes sense because Judith is younger. She is basically the same age as Carl is in the comics. So it kind of makes sense to give Carl's story arc to Judith. So if you kind of think about it from that point of view, that kind of makes sense as well. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how they're going to do this, whether it's going to work or not, whether it's true or not first, but also whether it's going to work or not, and how they're going to make everything come together. Another thing that kind of gives this proof that Carl is going to die is that if you remember, when we were seeing that flash forward or that dream sequence or whatever it is, we're not sure, but now that I think about it, it's most likely going to be a dream sequence because we saw Carl in that flash forward. We didn't see his face, he just passed quickly, but we definitely saw him. So that leads me to think that that's most likely a flash forward. Now, the fact that they didn't show Carl is another kind of clue that he might die as well. So everything put together, I understand why they would do this, why they would kill Carl, and how that would change the story and make everything fit together. But that being said, I'm looking forward to actually seeing how they do it and whether it's going to work or not. It'll be great if they can pull it off, but it's going to be difficult for them to pull it off. Now, again, it's not confirmed 100%. This might all be inaccurate information about Carl's death, but whatever the case is, only time will tell, and we just have to wait to see what they do and what happens in the mid-season finale and whether Carl is gonna die or not. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.